Welcome back to Bullyball, a San Francisco 49ers podcast. We have a special edition of the podcast for you guys today. As you guys know, the salary cap is a big issue these days for a lot of NFL teams. You see star players getting cut left and right, people traded for pennies on the dollar. So we have a 49ers cap guru here with us today to give you guys the breakdown on what the 49ers are up to. So stay tuned.
Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, check up on my ear. Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, I'm about to cut.
All right, so welcome Jason Hurley, the 49ers cap guru, to the channel. Jason, how you doing today? And go ahead and tell the folks a little bit about what you do.
Doing good today. Basically what I do is I basically track and follow all the salary cap numbers for the 49ers. I have my own website, 49erscap.com, and I'm on Twitter at 49erscap. So that's where you can find me. It was a hobby of mine, but it became a passion of mine to do this because I love this business side of sports just as much as I love watching the game. So I just basically track all the numbers, put them in a Word Excel sheet, and just have at it. I determine how much they're making, how much cap room we have, etc., all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that plays a huge role into the situation, because I remember I follow you on Twitter and everything, read your articles.
Yep.
And when the free agency was starting, you mentioned that the 49ers could fit a big contract in the books. And, I was not expecting them to do that. And what do you know? They do it. So, it
Right.
really does play a big role.
Yeah, it does. The salary cap plays a huge role in your roster construction. I know a lot of people want teams, specifically 49er fans, want us to be very, very aggressive. And while I would love that, the salary cap can only hold so much before, you're going to be in cap hell like we used to be in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, like we see, 49er fans wanting Darius Slay and, pretty much every big name on the market right now, but it's just not feasible.
No, it's not. It's not feasible to fit all these players that everyone wants. It's not feasible to go out each free agency season and pick up, 3, 4 big name players, maybe 1 or 2. That's fine. Usually 1 is what the 49ers will do, and that's what they did this year. And that I'm fine with it. You sign a big name, and then you get a lot of depth players.
Yeah. And, a lot of people don't realize is the 49ers are about to pay a record-breaking contract to Nick Bosa this offseason. And then if you want to keep Brandon Ayuk long-term, that's coming the following season. So, the money's going to keep piling up the bill, because the 49ers do an awesome job, in-house drafting.
Yep, they do a great job of drafting. Yeah.
So what do you think, before we jump into like all the acquisitions and everything, how would you say the 49ers cap situation is currently? Because you see teams like the Saints, salary cap hell, the Rams. How would you say the 49ers are?
Very healthy. They're pretty good. Right now I have them at 10 million under. That includes everything except Isaiah Oliver and Jake Brendle's deals. So we just
Okay.
got Cleveland Farrell's contract just came in before the show. So I got
Yeah.
that and posted that. So the salary cap for the 49ers is in a great shape, in my opinion. There's nothing to worry about. They're not going to trade Ayuk. I do believe 100% that they will extend both Nick Bosa and Brandon Ayuk. Bosa this year, Ayuk next year.
And do you think what they've been doing is sustainable? With their restructures, everything looks, like they can sustain it long term with the growth of the salary cap in the years to come.
Yeah, I do believe they can sustain it. I think what they have to do, though, is they have to limit themselves on how many players they restructure and who they restructure. Don't do the same players over and over. That's what got the New Orleans Saints into cap hell. That's what got them 100 mil over last year and then nearly 60 mil this year.
Yeah,
You can't go out and restructure every contract and expect you to be able to sign big players every year, because eventually that bill comes due. You got to pay the piper.
exactly.
Say it.
I totally agree with you. All right, let's jump into some of these signings for the 49ers. So, obviously, we have the huge contract, but great player that they signed first when free agency started. D tackle Javon Hargrave from the Eagles. Um, you know, what do you think about the signing compared to the salary cap number that you're getting from that?
I love it. I love it. It's basically a 2-year, $40 million deal because only the first 2 years are guaranteed. And he's got only a $6.615 million cap hit this year. Next year it goes up to about 15.5, and then it will go up even higher in 2025 and 2026. But by then the cap's gonna really skyrocket. Once those the TV deals really start this season, and you're gonna see a big flow influx of money coming in to the NFL. They're going to get a lot of money. They have the deals with Fox, ABC, or Fox, CBS, ESPN, and then Amazon, and then the new deal with YouTube for the NFL Sunday Ticket. So they're going to be seeing a lot of revenue, which
Yeah,
means the cap goes up.
I believe they just signed a new deal. I don't remember with which company because I'm overseas, but
Right.
the NFL Game Pass for us, it's on a different platform next year. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
another
they
huge
yeah.
deal.
Yeah, the NFL Sunday Ticket, as it's called over here in the States, is was with DirecTV for 25 years, and now it's going streaming with YouTube and YouTube
Yeah,
TV. So
yeah. And so you like that deal, Javon Hargrave? I love the fit. We
oh
saw it in
yeah,
that Eagles game.
he's a
The
monster.
49ers interior was getting pushed around a little bit too much, and the interior pass rush has kind of struggled this past year. And I wouldn't even say just this past year. They've struggled throughout the Kyle Shanahan era
Yep.
after DeForest Buckner, right?
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, you had DJ Jones, who was a great piece on the interior. He goes, DeForest Buckner goes, and
Yep.
you're left kind of without a pass rush on the interior. So I really love the signing.
I
Um,
am in love with the signing. I mean, Hargrave is he's a beast. He's a
yeah,
monster. That guy is going to help not just Nick Bosa, but also Eric Armstead. Going to make their lives much easier on the field.
definitely. Yeah, and like you said, Eric Armstead, he might see a lot more one-on-one situations, kind of like back in those days when he had
Right.
10 sacks on that Super
Yeah.
Bowl team.
Yeah.
So the 49ers really were targeting their, you know, holes of the roster with these signings early. They also signed, you had spoken about it, a defensive end, but he's more of a, you know, outside in guy, Cleline Farrell from the Raiders. Not really productive, but I
Right.
saw the deal right before and it looked like it's pretty low.
Yep.
So you can speak on that, but I like it as an upside signing. I kind of feel like you still need to get a true edge that, you know, a speed rusher off the edge, but I like the depth signing. You go ahead and talk about how you feel about it with the cap situation.
Yeah, it's a 1 year, $2.5 million deal. I believe 1.82 million of it is fully guaranteed. So he will be around this year. I like the signing because look at our D line coach, Chris Kasarik. He makes these pass rushers, these defensive linemen, he helps them make a lot of money. You just look at Omenahu, just got 20 mil over 2 years.
Yeah.
Ebukam got 27 over 3 years. So this is a
Yeah.
chance for Cleveland Farrell to resurrect his career because he has not played up to what he should have been playing coming out of Clemson. Because he was one of the better edge rushers, better defenders on that team coming out, and he just hasn't produced much. So I think with Sarek, I think you'll see him improve. But yeah, I believe that they should sign or draft, really sign another better edge rusher. I love Yannick Ngakwe as a potential free agent signing. And I also like Zadarius Smith, but right now we don't know if he's going to get released by
Yeah.
the Vikings or not. They just signed Davenport, so we don't know just yet.
Yeah. And, you know, with Cleline Farrell, the one good thing is he's a great run defender right off the bat. So,
Right,
you know, at least you're getting not a he's a project player, but at least he's good at one thing and you can just try to build up his pass rushing skill. So he can play outside on early downs if
right,
need
and
be,
then move
even if he
in.
doesn't provide that. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And so you spoke on the other edge rushers still available. There are quite a few good ones
Oh
still
yeah,
available. Can the
but
49ers fit one of those contracts on the
yeah,
roster right now?
they could fit one of them. It's not going to be able to be that 20 million a year. It's more in the 10 million a year range that they could fit one more contract like that. But it just depends on if they're willing to spend that money because, like you said, Nick Bosa is going to get a big deal. He's looking at 35 million a year at least.
Yeah.
He's defensive player of the year. He's going to get a big deal. He's
Yeah.
going to top
So,
what Aaron Donald got. Even though Donald is not an edge rusher per se, even though he can rush, he rushes from the inside. He's still viewed as the top paid non-quarterback. So that's where you look at comps for that for Nick Bosa contract, and you basically say he's going to want more than what Aaron Donald got, or at least his agent's going to want that. You know, Nick
yeah.
is a very, very, very laid back guy. Nick is, and he's, basically, I love the fact that he's like, it'll get done when it gets done. I'm not worried about it, and that really is great. So that
Yeah, I love
that's
that
a
too.
that's a sign of he wants to be a 49er and he's not worried about it. it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah. So would you be more keen to like a 1 year, like a Clowney on a 1 year 10 million, or maybe like Justin Houston, very old guy, maybe like a 1 year $8 million deal, or because Yannick Ngakoue is gonna want a multi-year deal for the first time in a long time.
Right. Yeah. Uh it depends on pricing. If it is like a 1 year worth up to 10 million, okay. 1 year 8 million. You know, I would like to get someone who is experienced. You know, Ngakwe has experience. Like you said, he probably wants a multi-year deal. Clowney just got released, so he's probably going to get a 1 year deal. Same thing with the other guy you mentioned,
Justin
Justin
Houston.
Houston. Yeah. And then another name that I think people should watch out for to see where he goes is Bud Dupree, because he finally
Yeah.
got released by the Titans today. Now he's free to talk to teams.
Yeah. Tons of good names, surprisingly, because in the past it always seemed like your edge rushers were the first ones to get swept up off the market, and now
Oh
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
changing. It's a little weird.
yeah, yeah. It is.
All
You
right.
used to see edge rushers get the mega contracts, and now it's just all over the board. It's like
Yeah.
a mixture of everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, we got two more signings here. So we got cornerback Isaiah Oliver from the Falcons. I don't know. Do you have his contract numbers? I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen his contract numbers just yet. All I know is that it is a 2 year deal that
Yeah.
was confirmed by Matt Barrows.
So
Beyond
two-year
that,
deal.
yeah, beyond that, I'm not sure the average per year or how much guaranteed. I like the signing. The kid is basically, you know how Juwan Jennings has that dog in him,
Yeah.
that Isaiah Oliver has that in him. And he's one of the better run defenders at cornerback. He actually ranked sixth last year as a run defender of the cornerbacks. Tarvarius Ward was number 2. They have now 2 of the top 6 run defending cornerbacks.
Yeah. And I think he's going to slot in as the immediate starter at the slot position.
Yep. I do too.
We'll see because I saw some people were thinking maybe they put him outside, but I think he's better in the slot. But
Yeah.
I really love the player. We'll see the numbers, like you said, when they come out, but I didn't even really notice him on the market when free agency started, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was out there.
Yeah, and that's just a great pickup to me, especially when you lose Jimmy Ward, who's your slot corner the past year. It's good to fill it
Exactly.
with a vet that
Yep. Yep.
has extensive experience there.
Yeah. Completely agreed.
And then, our last signing so far is quarterback Sam Darnold
hmm
from the Panthers on a 1 year deal. And I know he can make up to, I believe it's 11 million, correct?
Yeah, it's around 11.5 million, I think it is. Because right now it's a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. He actually only has a $3.8 million cap hit. That's due to the roster bonus, the per game roster bonus. Only 6 games of it counts against the cap. But he has $7 million in incentives for like playtime, playoffs, all those kind of things. And he's going to get a chance come training camp to get at least the number 2 quarterback, maybe even the starter, because we don't know if Brock's going to be ready. He's going to be throwing by June or July, hopefully. So hopefully, the hope for me is that either Trey or Brock is the quarterback of the future. But we have to look at everything and hopefully, and hopefully Darnold, if he wins the job, he does a good job. I mean, he was
Yeah.
4-2 this year.
Yeah, and I mean, if he wins the job, he wins the job, right? Like there's no
Yeah,
debating it. If he's the better player, he's the better player.
yeah,
It's not like he's 32 years old. He's still young.
no,
He's 25.
yeah. He's
And
25, going to be 26. Yeah,
it would be disappointing if he won the job because obviously the draft capital you put into Trey Lance. But
yeah.
like you said, this is a Super Bowl roster. If he's
Oh
the best
yeah,
guy on the roster, you run with him and see what can happen. Great player coming out of college and went to a terrible team.
yep,
I remember
yep.
watching an interview of Robbie Anderson, one of his receivers on the Jets, talking about how they just threw him into the fire and he had no chance to become a good quarterback because, the Jets didn't do anything to help him. Um,
Exactly.
he plays a couple years, goes over to the Panthers, and like you said, hey, 4-2, played pretty well. Um, and he's never had a team like the 49ers have. He's never had
No,
this amount of
no,
weapons,
nope,
the best
nope,
left
nope.
tackle in football.
Yep.
We'll see
The
what
best,
happens.
the best two most versatile offensive weapons, Debo and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he
Yeah.
had McCaffrey for a little while, and then we got him. So I'm sure Steve Wilkes and McCaffrey vouched for him, saying, this guy's a good guy. He's out of bad. He's gotten, it's more coaching than it is him. Just
Yeah.
throwing him into the fire, like you said. He got thrown in right away, and it just probably was definitely a mistake to do that.
Yeah.
You can't
And
throw your you can't throw your rookie quarterback right into the fire and expect him to dominate or make you a team that's going to be in the playoffs.
yeah. And hey, if he never touches the field for the 49ers either, I'm a happy man as well.
Exactly.
Whatever happens,
Exactly.
happens. It's funny. I was doing some research on all these signings, and on NFL.com, how they do like their guy does his draft profile for the player and then gives a comparison. It was a
Yep.
Lance Zierlein. His draft comparison for Sam Darnold was Andrew Luck.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy, right?
Yeah. That would be something.
Yeah, but so those are the signings so far. 49ers filling a lot of their holes,
Yep.
but I'll just run through them real quick. The departures so far: Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders, Mike McGlinchey to the Broncos on a crazy deal,
Yep.
Hassan Ridgeway, Texans, Jimmy Ward, Texans, Emmanuel Mosley, Lions. That one hurt me a little bit.
Me too.
Um, Aziz Al-Shaair, Titans, Samson Ebukam, Colts, Daniel Brunskill, Titans, and Charles Omenihu, Chiefs. That one hurt as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mo
The-
Hurst as well to the Browns.
Yep. Yep.
Any of those, that of significance to you? Maybe you would have liked to sign them for a little more than they got signed by the other team or something like that.
I would have went in on Mosley, definitely. As for Omenihu, I love the guy. I thought he played really well for us, but I can't get behind 10 million a year
Yeah.
for what he produced. If he had came at 6 million or 7 million a year, okay, I can do that. But, he got what he got, and I'm glad for him. You know, I don't
Yeah.
hold any grudge against any player because they left. You know, we can't afford everyone. They got their deals, they got paid, and that's great. I wish them nothing but the best, except when they play us, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for all the guys getting their deals, but like you said, that's a lot of money. I wouldn't have shelled it out. I agree. The only one I would have probably shelled it out for is Emmanuel Mosley. 1 year, $6
Yeah,
million deal.
yep,
I would have tried to beat that because
yeah,
in my opinion, Emmanuel Mosley was playing like a top 10 to 12 corner before he
yeah,
went
he
out with
was.
his injury.
Yeah, I had him projected to get at least what Travarius Ward got
Yeah.
if he had not torn his ACL.
Yeah.
But he
So
had to
on
sign
$6
that 1 year,
million,
basically prove it deal. So
yeah,
the best of luck to E-Man, but I really wish we could have kept him.
agreed. And then we have our re-signings, and then you could go ahead. I'll list them all off, and then you could speak
Yep.
on them.
Okay.
Center Jake Brendel, 4 year deal. Tashawn Gibson, 1 year deal. Colton McKivitz, 2 year deal. Kevin Givens, 1 year deal, and then Tabor Pepper, 3 year deal. Um, go ahead. What's significant about these deals to you?
Um, the Jake Brendel deal, I really like. I haven't seen details yet. I know it's 4 years, maximum of 20 million, 8 mil guaranteed. Excuse me. And I like what he did. He only had one sack allowed, I think. He did a good job. Uh People may overreact to the number or the number of years, but you remember the way they structure contracts, they can get out of it easily. So
Yeah.
I like that. Deshaun Gibson, getting him back is huge because we really needed to have that veteran presence at free safety. And him and Hufanga really complement each other very nicely.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tashawn Gibson played awesome last year,
yeah, he did.
and that's a cheap
Um,
deal.
yeah, 2.9 million over 1 year, very cheap. He took a discount to stay with the 49ers. And it's
Yeah.
funny because both Jake Brendel and Javon Hargrave took less money to 49ers or stay with the 49ers.
Yeah, you love to see
Which,
it. You love to
yeah,
see it.
it said a lot about the culture that Kyle and John have really built here, in the Bay Area. Well, I don't live in the Bay Area right now, but, I like to say here. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin Gibbons, I like the deal. I like him. He played well when Armstead and Kinlaw were both out. And then Tabor Pepper is one of the best long snappers in the game. So can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
And the way he announced it was just amazing. It was the
Yeah.
greatest. And you thought he was going away and going to sign elsewhere, and he said no, 3 more years. So
He has one of
pretty
those like
happy.
George Kittle style of personalities to him.
Yeah, and he's very interactive with the fans.
Yeah.
He likes to talk to them online, which you
Yeah,
don't
he's a
see a
great
lot
guy.
out of players. Yeah, he is a great guy.
And then the last one was Colton McKivitz.
Yeah, McKivitz, it's a deal that is not um, it's not worth what it was reported at 5.8. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's got incentives, which I'm not sure what they are right now. Basically, I think the incentives are for him playing time, how well the offensive line does, wins, play percentage, everything like that. So I like the deal because at worst, he's going to be the swing tackle. At best, he'll be the right tackle. And the one game he started this past season, I think he played in place of Trent Williams when he
Yeah,
went down for the
he
one
did.
game. He actually played really well. So we'll see how well he plays on the right side because he played well as well in the not this past season, but the season before 2021 in the finale and the season
Yeah,
against the Rams.
the
He played
Rams.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that was big in us getting into the playoffs that year.
yeah. So he's gonna have the first shot as a starter, even if they bring in a rookie. He's gonna have the
Oh,
first
yeah.
shot. So we'll
Yep. He'll
see.
have the first chance to be the starter.
And then we have our remaining unrestricted free agents. I'll list them off, and then you
Yep.
tell me which ones you would want back, and on what type of deal. We got kicker Robbie Gold, defensive end Kerry Hyder, tight end Tyler Croft, quarterback Josh Johnson, defensive end Jordan Willis, tight end Ross Dwelly, cornerback Jason Verrett, safety Tavarius Moore, and defensive lineman T.Y. McGill.
I would not mind seeing T.Y. McGill get a 1-year veteran minimum contract. I like the way he played last season in relief of when Hassan Ridgeway went down. I also like Jordan Willis as a depth piece for the team on the edge. Also, minimum or somewhere around that 2 million, 2.5 mil deal, like they gave Cleveland Farrell. Robbie Gold would be great. I think they're in negotiations with him, but we'll see what happens. I would love to see him back. I know he said he was going to kick elsewhere, but you've seen a lot of the kickers already get deals, and he hasn't gotten a deal yet. So he may have to come back to San Francisco because he's not going to retire, apparently, which, I don't blame him. He can still kick.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I completely agree with you on all three of those guys so far.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't mind Kerry Hyder back just because Chris Kasarik, he's played his best seasons under Chris Kasarik. So I wouldn't mind them bringing him back on a 1-year deal, like in that 2.5 mil range.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
agree.
go. I wouldn't go crazy on the 1-year deals. Like with the guys, I would do very, very low deals. Excuse me.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you on all those guys. T.Y. McGill, he had his flashes during the season.
Yep.
Older guy, but he played great when he got his spot playing time.
Yeah, he did.
Jordan Willis, I've always been a big fan of Jordan Willis, and I've always felt like he didn't get enough reps to actually show what he can do.
Exactly.
Kerry Hyder, like you said, good depth piece, inside out guy, can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I
So
like
that's
him on
always
the
good depth.
Yeah, inside and out is great that he has the versatility.
Yeah, and then Robbie Gold, just super accurate kicker. You never want to have to worry if you're going to win or lose a game because of the kicker. And so obviously we'd rather have him back than bring anybody else in.
Yep.
All right, but so that's everyone on the 49ers side. Where would you go from here, finishing up free agency, heading into the draft before the season? How would you build out the rest of the roster?
I would try to bring back those 4 players that we mentioned. and then I would look into either I would look into bringing an edge rusher, someone more established, opposite Bosa. But after that, pretty much go into the draft and fill the needs that you have. Get a right tackle, get a free safety, guys that can battle or learn for a year, and then come in and do like what Aaron Banks and Talanoa Hufanga. They didn't play a lot year one. Banks didn't play much at all. Hufanga played some, and then you look at them and they played really, really well this year. Hufanga was a Pro Bowler. So even though that's not exactly, it's a popularity contest. I mean, McCaffrey didn't even get voted in, which is kind of BS.
Yeah.
So
And
I would go into the draft and just, if they don't bring back the players that I mentioned, draft some edge depth, interior D-line depth, and also look at linebacker, since Flanagan Foles wasn't tendered as a restricted free agent. And also, we really need a new tight end to go opposite George Kittle. Really need one.
I completely agree with you there. And I totally agree. I had something to add to that, but it totally just left me.
I get that all the time. I had that happen to me.
But I totally agree with you. The 49ers don't have many holes.
No, they don't. Nope.
But I do remember what I was going to add. And maybe, the 49ers are thinking they're going to do what they did with Hufanga and Banks with Drake Jackson on the edge.
Yeah.
But as we know, the 49ers love to just rotate guys in and out. So it would still be nice to have a proven guy that is known to get sacks in the NFL already.
I agree completely.
We talk about it, bringing in an edge rusher, and it's no slight to Drake Jackson at all. It's just you need a proven guy because they're going to be rotating in and out all the time.
And Drake can learn from him too.
Exactly.
That old adage that iron sharpens iron, competing is the best thing you can do. You want the guy competing. You don't want the guy just feeling like, oh, he's going to get handed the job. I mean, you've got your stars are not going to go anywhere. They're going to be the starters. But then you got other players that have to, keep doing what they're doing to keep that job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and, Drake Jackson can learn from Nick Bosa, but they're totally different style of players,
Yeah,
Nick Bosa's going to beat you with his power in his hands.
Yep.
Where Drake Jackson is a bendy. He's a bendy guy. That's why I would love to bring in Justin Houston, learn from a guy that wins with speed, hands, technique. He's bendy. And teach the young guy these traits that he can learn from you. So I would love to see it. Or like you said, Ngakoue, that he's a perfect example of what Drake Jackson could become.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I have one more question for you, and then we'll be done with this special edition. Who are your breakout players for the 49ers that may already be on the roster but didn't perform much last year?
Ooh, that's a good question. Tough one because because they had so many players that broke out or just played well. But maybe Drake Jackson. I'm thinking Drake Jackson's going to take a step forward, a step up. I really do.
That would be great.
Yeah.
If he can
And-
become a cornerstone, I think
Yep.
that opens up a lot more opportunities for you.
Exactly. So yeah, I go with Drake Jackson. And I
Perfect.
would watch for Isaiah Oliver to be a good player for us. So he's the
Yeah.
one that I like. You know, you could say Hargrave, but I mean, come on, we know he's going to
Yeah.
do well.
He's a
This guy's
bona fide
beast.
star at this point.
Yep. He has nothing to prove to be
Yeah.
to be an established veteran or to get there.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got for you today on this episode of Bullyball. Jason will drop his links again. He'll tell you guys where you can find him out one more time before we get off. But,
Yep.
he just drops awesome info. Follow him on Twitter. Go on his website because, like I said, the salary cap leads the way and he breaks it all down for you. Thanks for joining me today on this episode. And just one more time, let the people know where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at 49ersCap and 49ersCap.com. Feel free to interact with me on either of them. So thank you for having me on. It was a great time.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And he loves doing podcast appearances. He's open to
Yep.
coming on anybody's podcast. So if you'd like to have him
Yes.
on, just hit him up and he'll
Yep.
hop on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bring it back.